Right, video number 2. This is where we ended off in video number 1 with the final assessment of the Excel tips and tricks course. But here's video number 2. Now remember, if we look at pivot here, there's sheet 1, so we're going to double click here and call this pivot 1, which is what the requirement was. If we go here, we'll see here, call it pivot 1. But here's another one, okay? So we have to create another pivot table of a count of orders per product name. All right, and add a clustered column pivot chart, name the pivot pivot 2, right? All right, so let's just look at that. Product name columns and supplier rows. There we go. So let's go. Insert pivot table on a new worksheet. On a new worksheet, let's just get rid of that panel over there. That's better. And click on OK. Count of orders per product name and supplier rows. There we go. Count of orders per product name. So let's go to product name over here. We'll go to units ordered over there. And because we have sum of units ordered, we need to change that to count. And the easiest way to do that is to in fact click that selection arrow down there and to choose value field settings. Then you can choose count. As you can see here, there's sum, count, average, maximum, product. Let's choose count. Click on OK, and there we go. We've got a count. And the instruction was also the supplier, a supplier across the rows. There we go. So that's better. And let's insert a pivot chart. We found that sometimes the pivot chart feature is a little problematic. So you can just go to recommended charts, but here it is working. So stacked column over there. And let's click this over here. It doesn't really make much difference. The paint buckets, nails, pack, etc. Count of units ordered. Okay, and there's the legend over there. So that's what we require to do. Let me just add the data labels just to make it look a bit better. There we go. The data labels are in the inside of the chart. Let's just change the design of the chart. Maybe make it like that. That's a bit better. Okay, I always tell my delegates to get rid of the clutter, so we can right click there, hide all field buttons on chart. There we go. There's the legend, and we want to add the chart title, so that would be that, and we need to double click there and say, all right, product name, count of product name name per supplier. There we go, done. Right, so this we call pivot 2 at the bottom, pivot 2, and it's done. So we've done our pivot section, we've done data so far, we've done filter, we've done our subtotal, pivot 1 and pivot 2. Now we're going to go to solver and scenario. Now solver and scenario people find pretty difficult. Here we've got a medical example. Actually doesn't comply with the rest of the theme, but anyway, it's a medical example. Solve this so that the total cost is 65,000. You can choose quantity cells to change. Accept the solution. Now add best and worst case scenarios based on the price. So firstly, let's click on 71,963 and we'll go here to data and activate our solver, which if you recall, we had in fact installed. There we go. Solver. Done. Oh, I've already got stuff in there. So let me choose set objective. I'm going to actually click on that cell to a value of, it was 65,000. All right, 65,000. I think it's picked up an earlier one by changing variable cells. And I remember I said quantity. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of these constraints over here since this particular exercise does not require constraints. Let's click on solve and let's see if it changes it to 65, and indeed it does. And it says keep solver solution OK. All right, now add best and worst case scenarios based on the price. So we're going to add a new report. And that's going to add a new sheet down the bottom here. All right. So let's go to data over here. We go to what if analysis over there, and we go to scenario manager. So add best case. by changing cells. Well, not the final cell, it is the price. Okay, and click on OK. So in best case scenario, the price is going to come down. You can choose any amounts you want as long as they're lower. 34, 60 F7 goes down to 56, 99 goes down to 84. There we go. So that's my best case scenario. Let's add a new scenario. So you'll see my best case, the prices have come down compared to the original prices. See that? Okay, the prices have come down. Now I'm going to add a scenario. Click on Add. There we go. And worst case. In worst case scenario, we have this situation where the prices indeed go up. So I'm going to go 45. That one's going to go to 67. That one's going to go to 70, and that one's going to go to 120. And click on OK, and I've got two scenarios there. All that's required here is that we hit the summary button, and we create a scenario summary with those result cells, and there we go. The only thing you might need to do over here is indeed to copy paste these things over here. Control C, there we go, to scenario summary. Control V. Over there, total should actually move down here. There we go. Yes, okay, so there's the total, bandages, etc., etc., etc. So, done. Current values, best case and worst case. Let's just go to view and change the mode. You can see there, that's what it looks like over there. May need to do a bit of formatting over there, but that's all I require for the course. So, done and dusted. Let's go to data table. So clearly I have laborers here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 laborers. That's based on original laborers cost. And then here I have days, 5 to 10. So if I select this entire range and I go to data, what if analysis, and I go to data table up here, data table. Now this is where people get caught with the logic. The row input cell. So my row is laborers. So the input cell is the original laborer's cell. So I'm going to click on that 4. So let's do that. And my column input cell, well, my column is arranged as days. So the original cell is days. There, the 5. Let's go there and click on the 5 and done and dusted. In B3, place a nested if statement that adds 20% for sales higher than 10,000, 100,000. All right. So equals if my sales is greater than 100,000, then the value if true is my sales times 20%. Otherwise, 0, close brackets, enter, done and dusted.